Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sander Lanch podcast. Today, we are continuing our read of Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. We did chapters 16 through 22 on this one, taking us all the way through part 3 and into the beginning of part 4. In these chapters, Tress starts learning how things work on the boat. We meet the various important officers, and she finds out some secrets. I'm Data, and with me today is
Jack.
And Jamie.
Yeah, Joe is under the weather today. Couldn't make it, so we press forward. Hang on to something, everybody. The Sander Lanch is about to begin.
Daughter of the Dune, terror of the West, sail the coast of Ireland with O'Malley on her crest. Sailors on the blue, shaking in their cots, feeling the foreboding of the terror that she wrought. Up the hull and away we go, stop the galley and gold. Whack the devil again, they blow, we better above the hold. Dance along on the waterline, speed of some of the waves. Back to back on the borderlines, to never shut out of the aim. Run your way.
So yeah, 7 chapters this time, and some interesting stuff coming out of it, I think. What did you guys think of these 7 chapters?
And I'm just really enjoying this book. I feel like this is something that I don't see a lot of in fantasy, but when I do, I crave it, is just naval fantasy. Like I feel like you just don't see it as often as you probably should, or if you do, it's just like one like minor part in a greater story. I've talked before, like the series The Bone Ships. I really love that series. So I'm getting, even though it's a very, very different book, I'm enjoying just like the naval aspect of it here. I like the crew. I like the secrets they're having. I like that. Oh, they like it's a really cool little twist. It's like we didn't actually want to go down this path of villainy, but the captain has some chip on her shoulder, so she's pushing him down it, and no one knows. So that's really cool. I like the crew dynamics. I like the way. I like it. I just really like Tress as a character. I think like right out the gate, she's just like a really fascinating character. It's like she knows what she wants, and she's like, "Well, I got to do something to make this work." And so she's quick on her feet, and now she's got herself into the Sprouter. Is that the position?
Yeah, Sprouter.
Yeah, like she's just got herself into that role, and it's like, oh, this is simultaneously an excellent and terrible position to be in. So, yeah, no, I'm just really enjoying the adventure.
It really is kind of just like we're off on an adventure. Let's go for the ride.
Yeah.
Because we talked about a lot before, like the pace is pretty quick, and even now, when I think we're slowing down a little bit to meet people and figure stuff out, it still feels like we're moving.
Yeah, it's like there's no fat to this story, but it doesn't feel like we're rushing, which is a very hard balance to strike.
For sure. It was interesting to me what you said about the naval sort of fantasy thing, because I almost feel like I know too many. For me, it may be more that I'm not the naval thing is I'm not the biggest fan of. I actually don't mind it in this book, but there's others like in the Gentleman Bastards sequence books, which I love books 1 and 2. Sorry, books 1 and 3. There's 3
Yeah.
now. Book 2 is like takes a big turn into like being a pirate adventure. It's like it gets very into the weeds on like here's how boats and the sea and all this stuff works in this world.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm just like, that's not my thing. It's my least favorite of the 3 for that reason. It's not bad or anything, but I'm just like, I could do
Fair
without.
enough. I think
Yeah.
yeah, I think I come from the opposite. I haven't seen that many of them, so it's like I just enjoy it because it just feels like, oh, we're still in a fantasy setting, which I've read millions of, but oh, now we're on the water. Like, how often does that happen? I'm not a particularly boaty person myself, so I don't know why I find it really interesting to read fantasy books about it, but for some reason it just tickles me.
You ever read what are those, the Ranger's Apprentice series of books?
Is that Robin Hobb?
No. It is. Well, I'm gonna have to look this up. Hold on. It's John Flanagan is the guy's name.
No, I have not.
He did like a whole 12-book series called The Ranger's Apprentice, and
Good lord.
they're pretty good. It's probably more of a young adult targeted thing, but they're pretty good. But it has a
Okay.
spin-off series called The Brother Band Chronicles, which is about this group of young men from like a Scandinavian. Clearly, it's supposed to be Scandinavian coded, like it's supposed to be like a Denmark or Norway or something. And
Vikings got it.
yeah, it's a Viking thing, and just just doesn't specifically say it's in a different world, but it's Vikings in that world. Anyway, but it's about how like these young men learn how to sail and become like a group that goes out and sails together and has these adventures. And I kind of like that series, which gets really into the weeds on like sailing specifics because they are learning all of this stuff. So maybe it's just like crazy pirate stuff that I don't enjoy. But if you like
Possibly.
if you like sailing type fantasy, you might enjoy that because there's several pretty decent books where sailing is a very integral part.
Oh yeah, I'll have a think.
Yeah, these were fun chapters. I realized we're into our third set of chapters for the book, and so we're approaching. I think we entered into part 4 as well, so it's certainly moving along. I really liked this week of the like. I feel like we're meeting all the key players in like an Agatha Christie crime story. Like you're meeting everyone, and we're about to, someone's about to die, and the mystery's about to begin. I kind of got that vibe. I realize that's not the type of story we're in, but it was that's what it was giving me by meeting everyone. But I like all the characters. I like that we're getting the time to see who these people are, and I feel like we're sort of piecing together a bit of everyone, what everyone's stance is on everything. So the captain, I'd like to see more with the captain, but I feel like we're not going to get that for a while. I love Tress. I love her relationship with Huck. I am so excited for her adventure now with this band of pirates who sort of don't quite want to be pirates. They're okay with being pirates. They all voted on it together, but then it obviously did not go the way most of them were expecting it to go. So you got a bit of the mystery with the cannonballs. It's fun. There's a lot happening, and then of course we've got like the overall storyline still with trying to get to Charlie, and the nice little cliffhanger at the end that Hoyd might actually have the answers for Tress with the sorceress. So it's super fun. I like Hoyd's storytelling. I I don't know if it's just me being more aware of it than when we started, but I feel like Hoyd's flair is coming into play a lot more than what it was even at the start of the book. And then every time we meet him, he's slightly more ridiculous than the last time. But it's fun. It's good. Do I know where it's going? No. But it's fun, and I like it. I like being along for the ride.
I actually kind of agree with you. I think once his character comes into the book, he like in the narration, he gets a little more like you said, the flair comes out a little bit more. And
Yeah.
I don't know why that might be. Maybe he's just like I don't know. But yeah, I agree. It does seem that way. Also, I love the comparison. I hadn't thought about it until you said it, but once you said it, I was like, she's totally right. That it feels like the beginning of an Agatha Christie novel, where we're meeting all the characters and trying to figure out what's going on. Because it reminds me of like one of the Miss Marple books, because everyone always finds her she's very non-threatening, and so they all talk to her. And just like with Tress, everyone's chatting with Tress because she's so non-threatening, and at the same time, Tress is super observant and she's spotting all these little details. So it totally makes sense. And we do have a mystery, the mystery of what is up with the cannonballs and stuff. It's not a murder yet, but well, I guess technically, actually, it was a bunch of murders, but there wasn't a question of who did it.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah, so you've got it. I feel like you're kind of waiting for them to find the crew member dead or something now. Like very Jessica Fletcher in Cabot Cove or wherever.
Yeah, Cabot Cove.
And she's like halfway through the episode, then someone dies, and you're like, ah. So I'm waiting. Halfway through the book, I'm waiting for someone to die. Probably won't be like that, but it's fine.
Now you're gonna have me waiting. We're me sitting here the whole time, like, who's gonna die? One of these people. We've met all these people. Well, okay, let's move into these chapters, y'all. The chapter 16 is called The Corpse, and then we get to chapter 18 in a minute. It's called The Other Corpse. So a lot of dead people around, apparently, despite the fact that we haven't seen any of the crew murdered yet.
One of them is a corpse, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not active.
It's true. It starts out with her stomach full of, quote, food. Tress went back to the deck and started scrubbing again. Is it just going to be forever that the food is called something in quotes? I'm starting to get that vibe that you guys are like, I mean, you're starving. Shouldn't you be grateful for anything? Just to continue. Although I guess technically it's Hoyd calling it food in quotes, so maybe I can't blame Tress.
I think we talked about it last week. She can still be okay with it tasting rubbish. She's still eating it. You know, if she was really having a problem with it, she could just not eat it and starve. So
Yeah. And it's not like she's calling him out like you're a terrible cook or anything. She's grateful to when he gave it to her.
Is
yeah.
this all Hoyd and his like, oh, I lost my sense of, in air quotes, taste. So maybe it's another thing. It's like he doesn't appreciate good food.
Yeah, could
It's
be.
actually really good food, and he's just like, oh, this is shit.
He's the only one who thinks that. Okay, I didn't think. Okay, yeah, that'd be hilarious. Oh man, and apparently the sailors have not been scrubbing as much as she expects because there's a thick coating of this what she called spore scum. Which
Sounds awful.
I feel like in most stories, like keeping the ship clean is a very if only to make sure all the sailors have something to do is something that does not they don't leave it to be.
I mean, they're only just recently gone into piracy. They haven't quite figured out their piratical methods yet. Maybe it's like scrubbing the deck kind of fell by the wayside as they're just like, so how do we pirate?
How does one pirate? Not the way they're doing it. Is like you made absolutely no money from that last ship that you attacked.
It's like, we didn't get any money, and now we're probably going to be completely ostracized by other pirates and the civilians alike. Shit.
We get a whole one of Hoyd's philosophical musings about how like physical labor actually gives your mind more time to like think about things than more mental labor, which true, yeah. I totally see what he means.
Very true. Yep. I was like, I hadn't really thought about it before, but yeah, you're onto something there, Hoyd.
I definitely have less brain power for thinking about various things if I've spent all day like spreadsheeting and having to concentrate on that crap. So I get it. And eventually one of the Dougs comes up. He's like, hey, you new girl, come do this thing. And so they need to restock the cannon, essentially. They've got cannonballs, but we need the stuff that makes the cannon go boom, which is not gunpowder, as one might have expected. It is zephyr spores from the Sapphire Sea, which we heard about briefly, the blue spores that make air for. So kind of neat to find out that's how they operate the cannon.
Yep. Tracks perfectly. I'm just really enjoying the magic here on this planet. It's like, yep, magic spores do different things when they get wet. Cool.
Almost like a potato gun, actually, now that I think about it. You're just...
That's awesome.
And usually the Sprouter does this. The Sprouter has to do anything involving spores on the ship. But yeah, we lost our Sprouter. He didn't want to be a pirate. And she's like, oh, so he got off at port? And the guy's like, oh, he got off, but there was not a port. Apparently, Captain Crow does not take kindly when people disagree with her.
Feels like the captain was born to be a pirate.
Right? Yeah, how did she handle discipline before deciding to become a pirate? I assume you can't just murder people. Although, who knows? I don't know all the rules on these ships. So they have like they have little pouches, and you fill the pouches with the blue spores, and then you put them in the barrel. And you can only do it in certain, like, you have to load the spores away from silver because silver will kill them. And there's silver around most of the ship, so you can only load them in like specific areas, basically. And she gets like some goggles and a mask so that the spores don't get in there. And she's like, "All right, okay then." And the guy's like, "Wait, you're not going to complain?" He's like, "No." And he's like, "Well, no, seriously, you're really not going to complain? I complained when they made me do it." And I love her response is, "You're probably smarter than I am. Any tips?" And she's actually kind of fascinated as she starts filling up the blue spores into these little bags, and she does a pretty good job. It seems like very tense work. It's clearly not like physically demanding, but working with something very dangerous is probably very tense. I would think.
You really need to be keeping an eye on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Do not let your mind wander.
Yeah. Do not sneeze on the gunpowder spores.
No, that would be a bad idea.
That would be the worst thing, I reckon.
Yep.
First your face explodes, then your face explodes. Oh.
All right, if you sneeze, they might all or mostly fly away from you, and then you might make somebody else's face explode. They probably wouldn't be happy about that.
Yeah, I wonder, okay, Brandon, is it directional? If the The moisture is traveling? Will the explosion go in that direction?
Interesting
Wow.
question. And I like the note that she's recently been working on like figuring out secret ways to hide in barrels. And so as she's loading the bags into the barrel with the cannonballs and stuff, she instantly notices like this barrel looks like it has a false bottom. If I was putting a latch, it would probably be right. Yep, there it is, sure enough. And there's some cannonballs under the false bottom. Actually, there's one cannonball, but there's room for like 5. And she's like, huh, I bet if Fort checked these cannonballs, they would not check out, like when he checked all the rest of them. So she's like, the cannon master, the guy in charge of shooting the cannonballs, is the only one who could be swapping them out from right here. And no one would notice. So Laggert, the cannon master, must have deliberately sunk that other ship. So she solved that mystery real quick, although she doesn't have all the pieces yet. And then we see Anne again, who we saw briefly last time. She's the ship's carpenter, and she starts chatting with Tress. And this is, as Jamie mentioned, you need to pay attention while doing these spores, as Tress gets distracted by this conversation while she's trying to do all this stuff, and reaches up and touches like her face by the goggles, and blue spore slips under there and touches some sweat, and her face explodes is the end of the chapter.
I was like, she's got to be okay because it's like she's the main character of this story.
Right?
But the way that ended, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it really doesn't sound good when it just ends with like, that's when Tress's face exploded.
It's like, we're confident she's not going to die, but she might be doing a good Harvey Dent impression for the rest of the book.
Oh, okay, fair. I kind of skipped to the end of the chapter and skipped over most of it, but they have kind of a neat little conversation. Like, Anne is very friendly. You're a pirate now, Tress. An unexpected sideways turn in life, and Tress goes, better than an unexpected turn downward. And Anne's like, okay, fair.
It seems like Tress would actually fit in really well with most of the people on board.
I think so too. Yeah, which I guess it's saying more about the people on board and that they're more decent than you might think pirates would be than it does about Tress. It's not like, oh, Tress is a pirate at heart. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. The captain seems to be the main one that she seems very piratical, probably. She's like, you all seem to be adjusting well to being pirates. And Anne's like, adjusting well? Who talks like that? You want to know why, don't you? And she's like, yeah, well, why don't you just ask? It's like, well, I don't want to be impolite. Impolite to pirates? And I love the note that like a minute later, Tress asks a question and Anne gets like annoyed about it. And she's like, well, why are you encouraging me to ask questions and then getting annoyed when I do? But we get an explanation about the difference between the two types of pirates. What they have become is what they call a dead runner. So there's regular pirates who they don't kill people unless they get fired upon. It's Anne describes it as more of a race. The ship runs away from you, you chase them. If you're good enough to catch them, then you negotiate a ransom, and they sail away happy, and you sail away, and alive at least, and the pirates sail away richer.
You don't all die in a sea of spores.
Yeah. And Tress goes, that sounds remarkably civilized. And Anne says, civilization exists because everyone wants to keep their innards inner innards. And I'm like, fair, all right. The king knows this, so as long as he gives pirates a reason not to go all the way, then they won't. Besides, who wouldn't rather have a chase than a battle? Like, everybody's happier. But if you kill people, or an entire ship's worth of people, you become a dead runner. Nobody likes dead runners. Even other pirates are like, those are the assholes that make the rest of us look bad. So once you've become one of those, no other ship's crew will take you. You're just you're stuck. And so this gives Tress a whole new outlook on this crew and what they're going through. And she's like, why would Laggert have wanted to do this? And I mean, probably the captain too. Like it seems weird that he would come up with it on his own. Why would they want to become dead runners? It's while she's thinking about that she accidentally explodes her face.
Whoopsie.
And she finds she comes to lying on the deck. I don't know if she actually got knocked out. It's just that she found herself lying on the deck. And she's like, what does that sound? Screams of pain? No, that's laughter. And Anne is just laughing at her. And Tress goes, it isn't funny. And then there's a Hoyd note. She was right. It was hilarious. And Anne's like, come on, let's go have the surgeon take a look at you. Anne is also the assistant cannon master. And when we first saw her talking to Fort, Tress noted that she has like several pistols strapped to her as well. And Tress is like, wow, you work with that stuff as the assistant cannon master? And Anne says, well, when they let me. And we go and meet the ship surgeon, Ulam. And Ulam says, you have very nice eyes. And Anne goes, if he has to buy them, haggle. You can usually get double his first offer.
A lot to walk into.
Right?
You're like, what? I don't want anyone buying my eyes.
Also, this guy is real weird looking. It says that his skin is ashen gray and his eyes are blood red. If the underworld had legal counsel, it would be this man. The hell of a description.
Yep. So, this guy.
Yep.
I don't think it's outside the realms of it's not a stretch to say this guy's probably a Kandra.
Yeah, I sort of had that thought too, but why would you choose to look that way?
We have
Maybe
seen
maybe he's a freaky Kandra.
we have seen a Kandra like offer to like or ask for somebody's body parts after they were dead. That one guy was like, I have Breeze's hands.
Oh, that
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. It's like, okay, there's already a lot of hints about this. You know, the narration outright said, was it? I can't remember if the narration or it was Ulam or Hoyd themselves said, oh yeah, you know, like I got a letter from him. Was it Ulam said he got a letter from Hoyd from among the stars, and so he came to find him or something.
Yeah.
Mm.
Between that and the fact, okay, he doesn't have a heartbeat. He looks kind of weird. He's talking about getting body parts after death, and like this guy's got to be a Kandra.
So I told you guys we'd heard the name before. So let us go back in time briefly. In the Lost Metal,
Harp sound effect.
yeah, right. The moment the part where Malon is breaking up with Wayne because Malon's about to go on her adventure off into the Cosmere or whatever. She has to leave the planet, so she's breaking up with Wayne. And he's like, it was like 6 years together, nothing to you? And she's like, well, it wasn't nothing. It's just not what it was to you. I know I should have expected that. Tensoon warned me. Ulam warned me. Mortals see time differently.
Mm.
So, in the context, it does sound like she's talking about another Kandra, and that would seem to fit with this guy.
Yep.
And Anne says he's our zombie. And Ulam goes, that's such a crude term, and not terribly accurate, as I've told you. And she goes, you ain't got no heartbeat. Your skin is cold and wet as a fish. And he says, both adaptations reduce my required caloric intake. So, it sounds to me like if we're talking about a Kandra here, they've developed a technique to like, well, we don't need beating hearts. We can make them to impersonate other creatures, but we don't actually need them. So why waste the calories creating that if it's not necessary? I can eat less and just not have a heartbeat. I can eat less and not have like warm skin. Actually kind of genius.
Yeah.
Although it makes people call him zombies. So
I mean, also reduces the need to, eat more people.
right? Yeah.
It sounds like a win-win for everyone. I don't think these guys realize.
Yep. I'll see a bit of stage makeup and like to fix his skin color and yeah, maybe he fit right in. He just looked permanently hungover with the bloodshot eyes.
Now could be. That's a good point. He offers Tress a salve to put on her the bruise or whatever that she's developed from air exploding right in her face. And she puts some on, and he goes, wow, she took that easily. Is she brave or stupid? Just Anne's like, we haven't figured that out yet. And I love Tress is over here like, I assume that this is some kind of hazing from the way Anne keeps grinning, so I was just like, may as well get it over with. If you guys wanted me dead, you could toss me over any time. So, and Ulam's like, wow, I like her. I'm going to keep an eye on her. All right. Hold this. And he puts something in her hand, and it is a human eye.
See, I'm not at all shocked that he and Hoyd would be buddies.
Right?
Yes.
I could totally see Hoyd and this guy hanging out. 100%, yeah.
Just waiting for one day we'll get back to Tensoon. And it goes, hey, have you seen Ulam? And Tensoon's like, that fucking guy. What's he done now?
He's like, hey, careful with that. That's one of my favorites. Look how deep the blue is. I trade you. Look, you could be blue and green. It would be very striking. And she's like, oh, no, thank you. Like, oh, well, maybe another time. And he tells her, use the salve. There's no prank. I'm probably the least dangerous thing on the ship. And Anne goes, you literally eat people, dude. goes, dead ones? My, how dangerous! Like the mighty earthworm.
His colleagues.
It once again, that clearly a conjure sort of thing. They like dead bodies. So
Yeah. But also, it's like, all right, now he's just playing it up for them. He's just having a grand old time being as weird as he possibly can because he knows, they've accepted me, so they don't give a shit. Like, I can be as weird as I want, and it's just for shits and giggles.
he's just having a good time. I love it.
Yep.
It also he's like, as the only true source of modern medicine in this backwater land. And he goes off. It's like, and actually, because she says this guy's as weird as a two-headed snake. Anne says, and he goes, look, actually, axial bifurcation is far more likely in reptiles than other animals. I've eaten several two-headed snakes. I've even been one. So
So he's just like, hey, Tensoon was onto something. Being an animal's great.
I mean, why not try it if you could be anything?
Yep.
And we end with anyway. Try to avoid blowing yourself up in the future. It mangles the corpse and gives it a metallic taste. And then we get Hoyd's commentary where he's like, I have it on good authority Ulam was enjoying, in parentheses, or not in parentheses, in italics, enjoying himself during my regrettable period of indisposition. He made no move to break my curse, and instead wrote some extremely embarrassing accounts of my actions and sent them to several good friends of ours.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know who these friends are.
Yeah, because, like, all right, Hoyd sent a letter, Ulam got it and came here, but is Ulam with Kelsey's organization? Has he split from them? Is he doing something? He's a Kandra, is he working on behalf of Harmony? He's just written back, it's like, you would not believe what this guy's up to.
That's a good question, because as far as we know, they all work for Harmony, so...
Yeah.
We also get a couple details about the curse. The rules of the curse prevented him from giving any explanations of how to break the curse, which is probably smart.
Yeah, that sounds like a good clause to put in there.
But I really expected more from him. As it stands, after coming to find me and discovering my ailment, he'd just taken up residence on the ship. He'd always fancied becoming an explorer. Did he have to wait for this to explore? Whatever. We don't know. Members of his species are virtually impossible to kill. The crew hadn't known what to make of him at first. Captain Crow shot him a few times, and experience he reports as being, quote, invigorating. All right, yeah. I like that that's... dude shows up to find Hoyd, and the Crow's like, maybe if I shoot him some, that'll solve this problem. But probably, since he knows medical stuff more advanced than the rest of the planet, according to him, probably a useful guy to have on your ship. And all he asks for payment is the occasional, otherwise useless corpse. Why not? Then we meet back up with Huck, who reports seeing the cannon master sneak some cannonballs out of storage down below. And she's like, yeah, that's what I thought. We're going to test my theory now. And so she stations herself nearby to scrub the deck, and she watches as he shows up. And first of all, he congratulates, like, Dogs, you guys did a good job refilling this stuff. And the Dogs just take the praise. It says this is the moment they discovered the wonders of outsourcing.
Classic.
Yeah. And she clandestinely watches him while he loads some more rigged cannonballs into the hidden compartment. So basically confirmation of who was responsible, but we still don't know why. And Laggart goes off to meet with the captain in private. And Tress is like, we need to know what they're talking about in there. And Huck's like, yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? I bet it's super secret. I need someone to slip in, she says. And he's like, maybe we could ask one of the Dogs? She's like, no. Someone who's small and quick and won't be noticed listening. And Huck's like, dang, I don't know if Dogs will be sneaky enough. Oh, right, Rat. Got it.
God damn it, Hank.
I forgot it was Hank. Sorry, yeah. I've been misnaming him this whole time. Poor guy.
Shame.
And so eventually he does sneak off to listen. And when he comes back, he says he did hear the conversation. And he's like, hold on, let me get into character. And then he does a pretty decent Captain Crow impersonation as he says what she said. And then he stops and he's like, you be Laggart. And she's like, well, but I didn't hear what he said. You'll do fine. Go ahead. And then
I loved this scene.
he criticizes her technique. Oh yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, I don't know how he expected that was going to go. She doesn't... What? She doesn't know. So funny.
Yeah. It's hard for me to tell if he's just messing with her or is this some sort of rat thing? I don't know.
Hank is
I
actually
was
a Kandra as well, who's decided he wanted to be an actor.
That would explain the talking rat thing, which is
It would.
apparently unusual. Yeah.
now I want this rat voiced by Ben Kingsley. Now that you've said it,
Yes, yeah.
So I would be
in
on board for that. Yep.
in his Trevor Slattery voice.
It
There
is
was
exactly what I was picturing.
There was
Yep.
talk for a while about this particular one had been story had been optioned for like an animated version, but I think that fell through. So, but that could have been interesting.
Mm.
And so, but what we get out of it essentially is that a Raven arrived with some news that the guy we left behind died. He appears to have rejected my bountiful generosity and done me the insult of dying from wounds we didn't realize he had, is the way she puts it. Although Tress goes, wait a second, did she actually say that? And Hank's like, it might be a dramatic recreation, okay? What do you think? I wrote it down? Like, just shut up. So we're going to have to sink another ship. And also, Fort is brewing trouble, maybe Soleil as well. We need blood binding them to the ship if we're going to do what you want, Laggert tells the captain. The crew will never follow us onto dangerous seas unless they have no other choice, unless they're desperate. So we have to sink another ship, Laggert, and leave a couple sailors alive this time. So Captain Crow wants to go somewhere more dangerous, and they don't think the crew will follow unless they have no other choice. So that is why we're going to murder people, to make them stuck here so they'll do what we want.
Anyone try talking about it first?
Right? Yeah, you could just be like, hey, do you guys want to go to this other sea? It'll be great. No. Once again, Jamie points out stories, people just don't want to communicate very well.
To be fair, is there a good way to communicate? Let's go to the super dangerous sea and never return. No, I can understand, like, you try and communicate that directly to people and it'd be like, no, we're not about that.
Fair. Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to get a read on what they all think of the captain on this boat, because it seems like, later we get Fort and he's just terrified of, like, don't stir up any trouble, like anything. But when Tress first got on board and the captain's like, chuck her back over the side, and everyone's just like, nah, we're not doing that. So it's like, people aren't afraid to disobey her.
Yeah. That's a good point. Well, it's possible that, because at the time they're still like, hey, we want to be pirates, we're just going to rob this ship, and then the ship starts going down. She was telling them, I want you to murder this person, and they were not okay with that.
Yeah, true.
Maybe that's the line, is we're not about murdering people. Which also mirrors the stance of the Sanderlands podcast, as we've established before. Murder bad.
Yes, we are anti-murder, not pro-murder.
And so I like Tress's like dangerous seas. I mean, yes, the Verdant Sea, the green one, the Emerald Sea, whatever, is also called the Verdant Sea, is one of the safer ones, but they're all dangerous. Like, where is she trying to go? But Tress is like, wait, I think I've got a way for us to get off this ship based on what you've just told me.
I feel like the Sapphire Sea, you could probably pull off some sick moves in that. It's like, we need to pull a hard turn, chuck some water over the right-hand side, and let's go left.
That's actually a cool idea. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Let's see Fast and Furious top that.
Zephyr Sea Drift. That doesn't roll off the tongue. Although in sailing, a lot of like drifting is sort of the natural thing that happens. So Tress has a plan. We don't see what it is immediately, but no, she gets to it relatively quickly. Yeah, she tries to stay out of the captain's direct line of sight, but then when the captain gets near, she starts mumbling like, "Oh, you killed all those people." It just pulls out some names: Kaplan and Marple and Mallory. And Crow's like, "What? You muttering something, girl? Ungrateful, maybe, for the kindness this crew showed you?" And she's like, "You killed my family, Captain." Like, wait, what? You're a royal inspector. Why were you traveling with your family? Like, oh no, I'm not really an inspector. I was just wearing the coat because an inspector left it somewhere, which is the stupidest explanation I've ever heard, but okay. And she kind of like, by talking about like, oh, you've killed my whole family, they're all dead. The captain realizes, wait, there was another survivor of that ship that could tell everyone about all the horrible things the Crow's song did. And she's like, hey, helmswoman, let's go to Shimmer Bay. We should get more water. And Sully's like, well, sure, Captain, but I thought we had enough. Yeah, you can never have enough water. Besides, we got rats on board. Need to pick up a ship's cat. So her plan works pretty much perfectly. In the meantime, Tress meets Soleil, the helmswoman, who turns out to be quite nice, and even says, hey, you want to take a turn at the ship's wheel? And she tells her how to sail the ship. Gives her explanation for, like, here's what you do. If the seed stops suddenly, well, then you do this. If you want to go that way, you do this. Gives her a whole little lesson. It's kind of nice. And we get a very pretty picture of Tress at the wheel, wearing her inspector's coat. And Tress goes, I mean, won't the captain be mad if she sees me doing this? And Soleil goes, maybe, but she doesn't get to decide. Tradition as old as the seas says the helmsperson decide who steers the ships. Not even Crow would imply otherwise. So that's interesting. And so Soleil, at least, like you're talking about, we're trying to get a handle on how they feel about the captain. Tress kind of tries to push it a little bit, like, the captain's pushing the crew too hard to go further than they want. And Soleil's like, we all decided on this together. And Tress says, hey, she's more reckless than the rest of you, though. And then she realizes, I don't want to, say too much. And Soleil goes, Crow is a harsh one, that's true. But maybe that's what the crew needs now that we're dead runners. And Tress, it's like, I don't know, why are you guys doing all this? And Soleil's like, for me, it was either this or give up sailing. And I just can't do that. I have to find someone out here on the seas. And sooner or later, I'll get to port and discover that my father's there and I can pay off his debts and bring him home. Surely it'll be the next one. So, some backstory on Soleil. Chapter 21 is The Pirate. As night falls, we get Hoyd whispering, your coat is nice, but it would look better if you painted half of it orange. And Tress is like, that sounds like it would clash. Like, clashing is good fashion, trust me. Oh, Fort says to go see him for food. I need to go nibble my toes for a bit. They taste like fate. All right, my dude. Whatever you say.
You've gone from weird to just downright creepy.
Hey, if they can live with a dude who eats people, they can live with this guy.
I mean, yeah. Nobody's moving to get rid of him, I guess.
Like, Hoyd still does his work. He just says some weird shit. It's fine.
Mm.
And as she goes down and Fort gives her some more food, which is still not great, but he'd even saved her a bit of cake for dessert. It was awful, old and crusty like the rest, but the thought meant something. And she starts feeling bad about, like, what she's doing, how she's tricking these people, and she's going to leave them behind at the captain's mercy, essentially. And she tries to tell Fort, like, I listened to what the Captain Laggert said, and I don't... And he's like, nope, don't say anything else, or it's going to get you tossed overboard. We can't talk mutiny on this ship. Captain visited, asked why I was being so nosy. I shouldn't have said anything. Don't say anything. She's too dangerous. And Tress is like, why are you all so scared of her? She's just one person. And he says, you don't know. Of course you don't. And I won't say, not my place. But she could kill every one of us, Tress. Drop it. So apparently this is a dangerous woman. We haven't seen any example of her being dangerous, but other than that she's an asshole. Makes you wonder, though. And they make port, and that night, like, Huck's like, I don't think you're going to be able to slip off. The captain's going to set guards. And Tress like, I think it'll be fine. Not only do they make an opening for Tress to go, but Crow comes up and is like, hey, you should leave. Which is just when Tress is starting to think, maybe I shouldn't go. Maybe I should stay and try to help this crew. And Hank was over here like, what? No, you shouldn't. And she's like, well, they've been so nice to me. And he goes, you barely met them. You don't owe them anything. And she says, well, I saved you when I barely met you. And he has a hard time. He's like, okay, well, yeah, true. But still, maybe if I help the crew, they'll take me to the Midnight Sea to get Charlie. And she's just like, they're a family, and I need to do what I can for them. And Hank is over here like, crazy, whatever. And she tells him, you should run. Like, no one will blame you for getting off. It's the smart thing to do. And he does not. He's like, I have a good feeling about you. But are you sure you want to do this? So yeah, she's made her decision to stay just in time for Captain Crow to be like, you should run, girl. I judge you worthy of life. Go ahead. And then Tress has to make an argument for why she should be allowed to stay on board. It's like, well, I lied about the whole, like, family thing. I know you saw right through that. And she's like, well, there's no place for you on my ship. Go away. And Tress has to find an argument for why she could be valuable. And she's like, well, you don't have a sprouter, and all the Dougs are scared to do the job. They made me fill up the Zephyr pouches, so they're all frightened of spores. And Crow's like, well, are you not? He's like, well, yeah, sure, but I figure a healthy respect for them helps the sprouter stay alive. And Crow kind of looks at her and he's like, you know what? maybe there is a place for you here. Still willing to work with spores after crossing on foot and taking a Zephyr explosion to the face? All right. You get no loot for the first 3 plunders, but an officer's portion after that. All right. Don't lie to me again, or we'll find out what happens to a human when they swallow a pouch of Zephyr spores. Ulam has always wondered. Ugh, that's probably bad, yeah.
Science.
I wonder if Ulam is a Kandra, would it like Hoyd tells us his kind is almost impossible to kill. I wonder, would falling into the spores kill him?
Maybe not kill him, but if he sinks, it'd be very hard for him to get back out.
I assume that there's like moisture within him still, right? And so if he lost that, would he still be able to like goop around?
Good question.
I don't know. But we end part 3 with Tress being like, I'm a pirate now. All right. And we start into part 4. Chapter 22 is called The Idiot. And Crow's like, okay, well, come on, let's take a look at, she's going to get her own special room that everyone else is scared to go into, with a bed and a pillow and stuff just for her. It's crazy. I like the note. The blanket likely hadn't been washed since the invention of vowels. But when you've been sleeping on the deck, you learn to grade on a curve. There's a work table in here. There's an actual like bathtub. And Weave was the old sprouter's name. He always needed lots of water for his experiments. Experimenting with spores. Anytime you do anything with spores, do it in this room. Safer for everybody. The entire chamber is reinforced with aluminum, but there's a silver lining outside of that in case something breaks through, it'll kill it. And Tress is just like, all right. And Crow is surprised, like, you really have no idea what you're doing, do you? What will be expected of you? You have no clue how dangerous this is going to be. And Tress is like, well, do I get to sleep in that bed? Yes, then I'm in. And it takes her a long minute to realize the reason no one else has tried to take this room is because there is no silver in here. All the decks on the ship have silver to keep away the spores, but not in here. And then Hank shows up. He's upset because they got a cat. This is an insult of the gravest kind, as in the kind that leads to my grave.
Makes you wonder if at some point, because Crow mentioned this before, it's like, oh, we got rats on the ship. Like when she was meeting with Laggett, did she look up and see Hank just practicing his lines on the thing? It's like, what the fuck is that?
I bet she did, Because he says, why would you get a cat for just one rat? Like, just let me have some of your food. It'll be less than you're going to have to feed the cat. Stupid humans. Other humans, not named Tress. See, according to him, he's the only rat. They must have spotted him.
Oh, I knew I shouldn't have gotten too into my thespian indulgences.
I love that she sent him because you're a rat, nobody will notice, and he got noticed.
He got saved straight away. I'm not very good at ratting.
Yeah.
Take a challenge.
And she starts thinking, like, what's being a pirate going to be like? And on the positive side, maybe she could get money to help raise Charlie's ransom. I don't want to rob people to save Charlie, but, But she concludes in the end, like, no, I won't be a pirate to save Charlie. I'll find some other way. And then Ulam shows up, and he's like, hey, you need a hand? And she goes, you didn't literally bring a hand, did you? And he tucks one arm behind his back. What? No. Would I be so crass, Miss Tress? And she's like, yes, it's why I asked.
See, clear communication. Brilliant.
And then we get the note that Hoyd peeked in, but Tress didn't have any marmosets, so he wasn't interested at the moment. And Tress asks Ulam, like, the captain said the bathtub is for, like, experiments? And he goes, yeah, we've loved the experiment of how can I con everyone else into letting me take warm baths. He notes that Weave was a cunning fellow, except that part at the end. What a waste of a corpse. Of course, that would be a Kandra opinion. It's like, man, I could have eaten that.
They're lugging the body over to the side to throw it overboard, and he's just like, you gonna eat that?
I got the impression Crow threw him over alive, so it's like, what a waste.
He probably still would have asked.
Yeah, right?
I don't know, I hear Ulam's lines, and I hear at his peak Tim Curry.
Man, we got Tim Curry and Ben Kingsley on the cast here. This is shaping up to be really amazing.
Yep, we just need Jason Isaacs in there somewhere.
I don't know why I was like, well, obviously Crow. That makes no sense at all.
Yeah, what Jason Isaacs would be a great Hoyd.
I'm trying to decide. Can I see that? Maybe I could see that. Yeah. I mean, we've seen him with like white hair before.
Yep.
I could live with that one.
You sound begrudging.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about who to cast for Hoyd recently, so there's lots of names flying around. But
he's probably one of the most contentious characters for casting. ideas.
Yeah, especially since, if you're starting with Mistborn, this is a person who's going to show up very briefly in Mistborn and then become way more important down the line. So it's like you need someone who you can pay to show up like for 5 minutes and then will show up and be amazing later.
Yep.
Seen a lot of people like Tom Hiddleston. They're like, oh, you should cast him. I'm like, yeah, really? Or David Tennant was another one that I saw.
Both those I could see, but they feel like obvious safe choices.
Yeah. Well, and then what's his name? What's the Superman?
David Cornsweet?
No, not the new one. The one before that.
Oh, Henry Cavill.
Yes, Henry Cavill is.
Oh, I saw a fan cast for Stormlight Archive where they cast him as literally every character.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's a fan of the Stormlight Archive, and apparently he like talked about like, hey, I could be Kaladin, but people basically want to cast him as everything because they know like, hey, he likes Brandon's books. I bet he'd do whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know that he fits any of those as well as you want him to.
You know what? Bleach him blonde, make him Kelsier.
I could see that actually. Make him the Lord Ruler. That could be fun. Anyway,
but again, like Lord Ruler's only there for like a brief while.
Yeah, it's true. That's why I feel like you can get, because you only need him like once, unless you're going to make Secret History. So you get him to show up, and you could get somebody really cool, because you're not going to have to pay them for like 10 movies or whatever. Anyway, back to this book. We find out some of the stuff used, like we've seen Rosite used for breaching or for sealing hull breaches in an emergency. But Tress noted the ship has a carpenter because you don't want to leave that there. A carpenter will come through and fix it later. Also, you can grow some of the vines, the verdant spores, and eat them as emergency rations. He says, yes, they are edible. I suppose anything is if you're optimistic enough. Which, okay.
Probably don't need to be taking like culinary advice from Ulam.
I was going to say, yeah, that's a very Kandra stance, I feel like. If And then Hoyd pops back in. I'm optimistic. I once ate an entire rock. Had to fight off its family first, though. And then wanders away again.
That seems like, oh dear, is that boding ill for Rock in Stormlight Archive?
If Hoyd ate rock, that would be sad.
I know, that's why I'm saying this doesn't bode well.
And I like Tress is like, do you know what his issue is, Doctor? And Ulam's like, oh, Hoyd has lots of issues. I wouldn't worry about it. He's nearly as good at getting himself out of trouble as he is at getting himself into trouble. He'll probably be fine.
I just want to see how he does it.
Hoyd should have known better than to tangle with the sorceress. In fact, he probably did know better. Frightening how infrequently he lets that influence what he actually decides to do. Which is... I feel the two of them being friends in all of these exchanges, where it's like, that is exactly the kind of crap like one of your close friends would say about you.
Yep. It's like, oh, that Hoyd. What's he gotten into this time?
As I was editing our last episode, where we were going through the part about where people were guessing what Radiant orders everyone was going to get, and someone had said that like Dak feels like he might own his own business, and then like,
oh yeah,
Jamie and Joe bust out laughing, and Joe's like, "I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh." Jamie goes, "I unmuted specifically to laugh." My wife was behind me and overheard that. And she's like, "Well, that's mean," and I'm like, "Nah, it's you know." That's the kind of ribbing that you get.
Yeah.
That's
we talked about it after. We're all good.
Yeah.
Jack didn't have an issue.
No, totally fine.
He started laughing at it also. So yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, it's Tress is like, wait a second. There's someone on the ship who knows the way to the sorceress, who's been there before. And Ulam's like, I mean, technically, but I don't know how Hoyd did it. I found him like this after I arrived on the planet in response to his letter. So I wonder if he sent the letter before he ran into the sorceress and this happened, because he doesn't seem in a good state to send it now.
No. He's like, all right, I'm going to check out this sorceress. She might have something I have. Can you come and get me out if I fuck this up? Oh, here we go. I can't wait for this.
He was like, oh, this will be great, and immediately came.
I brought popcorn.
And so she's like, holy crap. Like, I found my first step to saving Charlie. Hoyd could help me. Let's see. It's like she was forming a real plan at last, one she could maybe accomplish. And it says it was still a daunting prospect, but she was better off than she'd been before. Maybe this crew was exactly what she needed in order to save Charlie, which is a very up note to end our section on. I feel like, given what we've seen Void, she's being a little overly optimistic, but that seems to be Tress's style.
Yeah, but she's also like Ulam has just told her it's like, oh, he'll fix it somehow. He always does. So she's like, all right. So he's not gonna be a blithering idiot for the whole time.
That's true. It could just be like if I stay close enough until he fixes it, then I've got somebody to help. That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Predicaments. Let's move into. We are doing another 7 chapters for next time, so we're going to do 23 through 29 for the next episode. What do you guys think? We've now maybe we're starting to see the inklings of how Tress's plan to save Charlie is going to move forward. We're meeting the crew. We're finding out more about what's going on, but raising more mysteries than answers. Maybe. What do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen?
So I feel like going forward, Tress is going to settle into her role. She's going to do really well. Like she's already starting to make friends with Ford and Anne and Soleil. I think she's going to get the best information she can out of Ulam. I think he's the one who's actually going to give her the real skinny of what's going on, because he has less of a dog in the fight than the others do, because he's just like, I'm not from this planet. I'm not really a human. Like, fuck you guys going to do to me? I can get out of here anytime I want. Plus, I feel like Ulam, he's interested in experimentation and bodies and stuff, so he's probably going to help out with some of the spore experiments that Tress has to do. So they'll probably spend a lot of time hanging out, which I'm all for.
Yeah, he definitely seems like the one guy who is almost certainly not afraid of the captain. So
Yeah.
more potential there for sure. Yeah.
Yep. So I feel like he'll be a bit freer with information than the others will. But yeah, no, let's swing for the fences. I feel like we might be on the road to Tress. This might be that whole Skyrim thing where it's like you always join a faction as the newest member, and by the end of the quest line, you're in charge of it. Spoilers for a 15-year-old game. But yeah, I think maybe by the end of this thing, Tress is going to wind up captaining this damn boat. She'll have a loyal crew under her, and I don't know what that's going to mean for Captain Crow or Laggett, or if they've got any other people who are on their side on this thing. But I'm looking forward to seeing that. I feel like and just as a silly little prediction, I feel like the cat is going to have a confrontation with Hank, and to the shock of all, Hank's going to pull out some secret ability, and the cat's not going to come off too well in that situation.
We're going to Tom and Jerry this thing. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe the cat can also talk, and Hank talks it down.
They'll make friends over being the only 2 talking animals around.
It's like they actually just team up together.
That's an amazing picture. It's like the cat is chasing the rat, and the rat's like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die!" And the cat stops, like, "Wait, you can talk too?" Just
no, it's gonna be more like the cat's coming up on Hank, and Hank's like, "Would you stop, please, my good fellow?" And the cat's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Oh wow, that worked." And he's like, "Look, I only joined this crew because I basically got stolen off the street. I'm actually trying to get home to my family." And Hank's like, "Hey, like I'm best mates with this girl who's about to become captain, so maybe we can help you out there."
There you go, help each other out.
Yeah, you be our spy on the main captain, and we can work this out.
I like the mean captain is still around. We need a spy on her, but Hank is already confident that Tress is going to be captain soon.
Yep. I mean, he thought that she would know her lines when she wasn't there.
It's true. So yeah, that kind of goes along. I think Joe's prediction last time was we were going to see like a Dread Pirate Glorf situation where she ends up in taking over. So yeah, okay, we got some parallel thinking. Nice.
Yep.
Where are we going? Obviously Captain Crow has got some kind of mission thing that she needs to do, and becoming this type of pirate, was it Dead Runner?
Yeah.
Is a means to an end. So whether she fundamentally is like that or has had to take this stance to get to wherever she needs to get to, I don't really know. She seems to know a lot about what's going on. The fact that, oh my goodness, who's our friend that gives Tress food? Fort, yes. He, was having concerns and was with Anne, and then the captain has come and questioned him, and now he's really terrified. And then Tress's face exploded with the spores. She was with Anne, and then the captain knows about all of this stuff. Like, I can't imagine if everyone was terrified of the captain, they would go and tell the captain all of these things. So I'm a little bit suspicious of Anne also being kind of second to the cannon master as well. You know, she's saying, I'm not really allowed to touch these things, but I mean, she would have access to it as well. So I've kind of got my eyes on her, and we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I was going to go with like a volcano prediction and say Captain Crow is the sorceress, but I don't think that's actually true. I think I'm just going to pull something out.
Okay.
It feels like obviously like there's a war, impending war between like the king and then the sorceress, and you've got so many of the king's people turning to some form of piracy. For the sorceress, I feel like that would be a really good way to like collect people for your war. Yeah, and like having to travel over dangerous seas, and no one wants to no one wants to really cross the sorceress. I feel like maybe if she's not the sorceress, maybe she knows the sorceress, and I don't know has a bit of a mission to try and get there. I don't know where that's going, but it was a thought that popped in my head, so I thought I would just swing for the fences and give it a shot. But yeah, the king doesn't seem to be doing himself any favors, making things really difficult for people. And then, you know, you've got all the stuff happening with Charlie, and I don't know. I still think the king's dodgy, and I think the people who are against the king are probably going to turn out to be our friends, our good guys.
Okay. I'm trying to picture. So we think that. I mean, Crow is wanting to go to dangerous seas for some reason.
Could be for anything. Yeah.
Yeah, could be for anything, but no, it makes sense that he might be related to, and she's also an enemy of the king, but she doesn't seem like somebody that maybe they could turn around. You think we'll end up liking Crow? So far, she hasn't been our best buddy.
She hasn't been the best buddy, but I don't know. I'm getting a feeling of a means to an end. You know, like you have to do things that maybe you don't want to do. Like they're pretty, like the crew itself doesn't want to be dead runners, but they have a need to make sure that message gets back to somebody.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you were actually going, like, why seek out being a dead runner? Like there's got to be something there that is either gonna like promote a chase, or you know, have someone like want to follow them into a dangerous space. Like they want this known, they want this message out there. I don't know. There's a plan, there's tactics involved, but I don't know where, like how that all fits in yet. So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe she's not as bad as what she's being made out to be. You might have like some players on the ship who are not, you know, fully in the loop there, but something important is going on. You've ended up getting Hoyd here as well. You've got Ulam here. I don't know. I feel like there's going to have to be some pretty major characters also here that we don't know anything about really yet. And we haven't, like, we've had confrontations with Crow, but we haven't had that like one-on-one. We're sort of getting everyone's impressions of Crow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, because we really don't know all the details. And so just because something looks really even evil from the outside, but it's possible we could find out more details that make it kind of sense. Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
I mean, I'm not condoning them sinking ships. Like at the end of the day, they still killed people, and that's not good.
We killed like 30 some odd people.
Yeah. You know, that's really, really not a good thing. But I don't know. They seem to be needing to get this done to get a message across. They're not just going, let's just sink some ships and move on. There's no real gain for that. And, you know, like I said, the king really doesn't make that sort of piracy an advantage.
Right. Yeah. No, it would be really interesting if because we're building up to two villains at this point in some ways, is the sorceress and Captain Crow. And then if we turn that on its head, And it's more what you guys were thinking. It's like the king and the duke or whatever. You guys called from the beginning. Those guys could be the bad guys. So if we do the full turnaround when we get at some point in the book, that could be a really interesting story. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Well, sorry. You got me thinking about all this. Like, where could that go? Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Let's, we got some time today. Let's do a few emails here. I'll skip. We have a couple new patrons, and we also have a couple of emails with reviews attached, but I will skip those as Joe did not make it this week. But we have a bunch of emails in the box, so we can take an opportunity to try to knock a few out. This first one is from Jaromir, I think is how I would say that. And the title is Fabrials. Hey, Sanderlanche gang, just a quick email. In the most recent episode, as of the time I'm writing this, you theorize that Fabrials work like ferrochemy. I don't think so. Simply because I don't know how other types of Fabrials, such as the Attractor in Words of Radiance that pulls water, and the Alerter that Rison sees in Way of Kings, would be charged. Oh, because we were talking about, like, the Pain Fabrial seemed like kind of ferrochemy-ish. Okay, it took me a minute to remember what they were talking about. So yeah, I mean, for something that attracts water to it, I guess that's true. How would you charge that? I think maybe they work more like Allomancy, being powered by investiture. But I don't think there's a definitive answer, just evidence that I put forward earlier. Anyway, we'll find out more about Fabrial soon, probably. Wasing to the time of next, Colo, P.S. Fasher, haha, himself. So, good point. Clearly, they don't all work like ferrochemy.
Yeah, I think it was just like that one in that moment sort of reminded us of ferrochemy, so we brought it up. But beyond that,
Yeah.
I mean, they have a point. There's a Fabrial that attracts stuff, which is kind of like pulling in Allomancy. Maybe it's like
yeah, true enough.
Allomancy and ferrochemy are both related in there somehow. I don't know.
It kind of would make sense that, all the investitures kind of overlap a little bit with others, but at the end of the day, they're all their own thing.
Yeah, I think we've seen some of them do similar things, like light weaving and the disguise thing in Elantris were kind of similar.
Mm.
I think we've talked about other examples of like similarities, but that's the one that jumps to my brain anyway. All right, well, let's look at the next one here. This one is from Fidlip, who actually sent us an email and then a couple days later sent us a second email. So let's go through. It says a small catch-up. Hello again, JD Squared. I wanted to write a small catch-up email after listening to the latest episode. I've unfortunately had to stop the Patreon subscription. Life gets hard, but I've recently got a small job at my uni while I finish my master's, and your Patreon is high on the list of things I want to get back into. I've come to love data monologuing about something I enjoy. I'll pause to be like, I'm glad someone enjoys it, but don't put yourself out too much for us. It's okay. Get stuff together. It'll be there. They're not the episodes aren't going anywhere. Anyways, after Dax said that this episode that he couldn't read Well of Ascension in 1 week, I felt like I had to write in and brag a little bit. I have technically managed to read it in under 2 days, starting in one evening and reading through the next day, finishing it at noon. I've probably told you this before, but it's been a long time. But hey, that's what bragging is about. My bad habit of speedrunning books has gotten so bad with Sanderson that I have to start taking notes to actually realize some of the underlying themes. But yeah, just a quick catch-up, a little brag. I wanted to thank you guys so much for being a great start to the week. Wasing to the time of next, from Fidlib. I mean, I don't know that Dak was saying it's impossible to read it that fast, but like if you don't have anything else to do, I suppose you can manage it.
I mean, I guess. I genuinely don't know what to say to that.
I mean, when the new Dresden book came out, I took the day off and I read the whole book in the day pretty much. So
as did I.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, so, but the Dresden books are much shorter than Stormlight.
Yeah, that's fair.
And Mistborn.
And they're also, even beyond being shorter, they're kind of like easy to digest sort of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hey, made it through Well of Ascension in like a day and a half. Good for you, man.
Yep, I mean, yeah, good on you.
Yeah. When I took a cruise, I went through. I decided to reread the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and I went through 6 of them. No, maybe 5 of them while we were on the cruise. So because that's one of the reasons we take a cruise is to just sit around, relax, do some reading, play some trivia and stuff. So
yeah,
it was nice to dig through some books. Anyway, here's the second email that Fidlip sent. Hello again. Of course, I forgot to say some stuff, so I did a small continuation. Joe was talking about reading Kagurabachi, a manga that I like a lot right now. I want to recommend some more. Namely, Sakamoto Days and Ichi the Witch. I know these are more comedic than Kagurabachi, but I love the potent action in either of them. Also, you guys were talking about Wheel of Time at some point, a series I'm currently in the middle of, and I have to say I completely agree. Jordan has a need to completely describe any insignificant room we find ourselves in, and gives an abundance of seemingly unimportant names of every tavern keeper along the way. But watch out, some of these names might come back later, so you better remember them, some of them at least. Also, apparently I just entered the slog. I'm in the middle of book 7, and without spoilers, even if some interesting things happen, I can sense that there is somehow a lot more talking. And don't even get me started about the romance in these books. All in all, it might sound like I really hate it, but the world building is phenomenal, and I have a love-hate relationship with the amount of detail that is in every part of the world. Maybe I've just been spoiled by Brandon, but the way it's written seems a bit of a bore. Also, every woman compulsively smooths their skirts. Sorry about the short rant. This is it for real. I would ask you what you think about Wheel of Time, but you've already described your feelings. Love what you're doing. Please don't stop. Buzzing to the time of next. Yeah, I think we've touched on our feelings about Wheel of Time for sure.
We've been over that. Yeah.
That email's from like January, so hope you got through them and enjoyed those books, Fiddler.
I mean, if he was reading Well of Ascension in like 2 days, maybe the rest of the Wheel of Time would take him like a week or 2 tops.
Yeah, see?
Those books are some total Richards.
That is how I did Wheel of Time. It was like a 2 or 3 week period, and I just went through all of them. And now, like when people talk about what happens in one book or another, I can't divide the books in my brain. Like I don't know which book I can remember the story. I just couldn't tell you which bit happens in which book because it was all so fast.
Yeah, I've had that problem with some books in the past. Like, and sometimes it'll take the reread before I delineate the books in my head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
You know where I didn't have that problem? Dresden.
That's true.
Every Dresden, I'm just like, oh, it's this one. It's this one. It's like, yeah.
Those are for the most part very self-contained. So it's
Yeah.
much easier to there is, especially in the latter part, like continuous story, but they're pretty self-contained adventures, so it's easier to delineate for sure. And the names help, you know? Like I know what happens in Summer Night. There's a Summer Night.
Yeah, touche.
And a Winter Night. But anyway, sorry. We'll move on to a different email. This one is, the title of the email is Oathbringer. Hello, DJs. How are you doing? I'm Shivam, but you can call me Sam. This is my second time emailing you, but I did not write my name last time. I'm the guy who suggested Data found some old theories crafted around the time of Oathbringer so you guys can get a feel of what it was like being part of the community. Personally, I started reading Sanderson after Rhythm of War had come out and really became a part myself around the time the Secret Projects came out. Let me tell you, it's been one hell of a ride for me. Now that Oathbringer is over, I just wanted to say this is also my favorite Stormlight book so far. Dalinar yelling, "You cannot have my pain," made me teary-eyed as well. It was the best ending of all 3 books for me. I tried finding some... That's... There's great moments. And also, we talked about it. The ending is nice. It feels like you're wrapping a lot of things up.
Yeah.
Tying off some threads. I tried finding some theories for Data to share with you, but I couldn't find appropriate ones without any spoilers. So here's what I thought would happen while I was reading Oathbringer. I believed Adolin would revive Maya, the sword, and become a Radiant himself. We see him able to summon her as a shard blade in 7 heartbeats instead of 10 in this book. She also tells him her name. I don't think I have any more to add to this theory because I read the books for the first time, same as Data, and ran through them without much of a break at all. Now, in the power of hindsight, I wouldn't want to spoil anything.
Fair enough.
Also, I really enjoyed it when Dak mentioned that we haven't seen who Vyre is, and I thought to myself, man, he's going to really love that POV, wink, wink.
Oh, boy. Feelings.
From Sam, wasn't to the time of next, Colo, haha, I'm still. P.S. Couldn't read much Dresden Files since my last email, still on book 5, but still really excited to read through them. So, cool.
Very good.
Good. The next one is from James, is called Batman. Hey guys, love the show, always a great listen. In this chapter, in this, the chapter ideals, it talks about, or maybe it's in this, the chapter ideals, I don't know. It talks about Kaladin striking poses on top of the building, and it finally clicked to me that Kaladin is Batman. Tragedy in his youth, with Tien instead of his parents, drives him to protect everyone. Awesome fighter, likes to stand on top of buildings and watch over cities. So this gets me thinking, who else from Roshar would you cast in the Batman universe? Or anyone from the DC universe, if you want.
Tricky. I mean, I see the personality parallels of Kaladin as Batman, but then you think Kaladin can fly, so it's like, Oh man, Batman stole Superman's power set for a hot minute there. Trying to think who else from DC. I don't know. Like my DC knowledge is much less than my Marvel knowledge. Like I know a bit, but I'm like struggling to think of who could be what. I guess like an obvious comparison would be Odium as Darkseid, but yeah, that might be
Okay,
that might be low hanging fruit.
man.
Oh no, you know what? I've got one, and it's a bit of a bit of a deep cut. Sadius, Max Lord.
Oh, okay. Now you got me thinking like, who's his Wonder Woman?
Oh Christ, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like Shalon is one of the main female characters, but she's not really at odds with Sadius that much.
No.
I'm sitting here trying to think who's the Lopin, the comic relief. I was like Plastic Man.
Booster Gold.
Booster Gold was the other thought I had. Yeah, I was gonna say Booster Gold is just kind of like really full of himself, but then I'm like, well, the Lopin. Yeah, okay, fine.
The Lopin. Yeah, it's kind of his thing.
Oh,
I
just
don't know.
yeah, this is just taking too much thought. I'm like, oh, I really want to deep dive into this now. I may have to come back and think about this later on this evening.
Yeah.
Jamie, do you like DC? Do you have any thoughts?
I know very, very little in DC. So
Fair.
you mentioned many names there that I'm like, of course that's the obvious choice.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. Cool.
If hold on, I still want to do if Kaladin is Batman, who does that make Shalon?
I don't know about Shalon, but thinking about it, Adolin, Hal Jordan.
Oh, he does have that sort of, yeah. No, I could totally see that.
Yep. The OG, not the OG Green Lantern, but like the biggest Green Lantern.
I think if anyone has the Shalon thing of like disguises or subterfuge, maybe like a Batgirl or
Zatanna.
Zatanna was that was what I was about to say. Like she's got the magic.
A character I know, like I basically know she's a girl. She has magic powers. Like that's the extent of my knowledge about her. But
you could go for like a Raven, but she's not like emo like that. So anyway, so sorry we didn't get deeper into that. But it is a question that is provoking my thoughts, James. So I appreciate it. His email continues. Also, another thing, I can't remember if it's been discussed on the show about who the book characters are for the back half of the series or who they are for the next two books. But a couple episodes ago, they had a gathering of Radiants in Thelana, and Dalinar was thinking that there should be one more, and then in parentheses, Venli. I realized that the group of Radiants comprises every single one of the main book characters. Is that right? Interesting.
Huh?
Well, what he's saying is, and there was another email that talked about it, and so I read that because I was like, you know what, maybe this is an okay time to go into it. But basically, Brandon, I told you guys, Brandon has told us about the perspective characters for the back half of the books, of the last 5, and so.
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, so yeah, okay. So you're saying the perspective characters are like orders of people from the various orders. Like it's a different radiant per. So,
But it's the people that were actually there.
Well,
are the people.
Actually, another thing about that. But Dak has what I was thinking about. I'll have to go back over to see if what Jamie said is also correct. But yes, there will be each of the 10 books. There's 10 books in the series. There's 10 Radiant Orders. Each book the flashback character will be one of these Radiant Orders. So we've had our Windrunner, we've had our Light Weaver in Shalon, we've had our Bondsmith with Dalinar. So
and we know that the next two, like you said Venli was the perspective character for Rhythm of War, and Seth was for Wind and Truth.
Well, Eshonai is the perspective character, is what I've told you guys. Although,
okay,
it's actually since you called that out, it's actually Eshonai and Venli. They as a pair sort of get the flashbacks.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got mixed up. Yeah, you did tell us it was Eshonai, and I just said Venli's name. Anyway.
But yeah, so that was still kind of correct because she does get some flashbacks in there. It's kind of interesting because we know that they operate the Parshendi operate as pairs on like the battlefield and stuff, and I was like, maybe Brandon decided that operating as a pair for the flashbacks would work too.
No, maybe. So we say like each flashback character is someone from each order. So leaves open the possibility it could be Yasna and it could be Renarin, who are flashback characters like in the future. But then I just go, hang on, like, are we going to have an Edge Dancer flashback character? Is it going to be Lift? Because she's already I mean, I guess there's nothing saying it couldn't be, but she already had her little book.
She
So,
did. It's true. The
like,
thing is, at this point, we don't know. We haven't met like other edge dancers. We haven't met other else callers or other.
yeah, we're kind of just basing it off as like these are the only ones we know. So,
Yeah, Truth Watchers is what Renarin is. Took me a moment. So yeah, based on what we know so far, it could be those guys. We're just because we don't know any other ones yet.
yeah,
We still got a couple
Okay.
books to meet some more. You know.
that is true. That is true. And more radiants are popping up day by day over there. So,
Yep.
especially now that Nail's not killing them all.
Right. Yeah. That can't hurt. Right. Although he's going to be on the other side in this fight, so maybe he'll start killing some again. Just on the battlefield.
Yeah.
We have an email from Joe. Says the 10. Love the podcast. I caught up last year and love listening every Monday. Christmas was my first time having to wait through a long podcast break. There is a scene you read last week where 9 people surround Dalinar as he gave orders at the Fallen Gate in Thaylen City. 9 people were obvious, but there were 10 people around Dalinar at the gates, each representing a different order of Knight Radiant. This is basically kind of the same thing that the previous email was talking about. Kaladin is a Windrunner, Seth is a Skybreaker, Lift is an Edge Dancer. Despite his, quote, corruption, Renarin is a Truth Watcher, Shallan is Lightweaver, Yasna Else Caller, and Dalinar is a Bondsmith. That means we're missing 3 orders, Dustbringer, Stoneward, and Will Shaper. There were 3 people standing around Dalinar that were not obvious Radiants, Talon, Ash, and one other. Talon is the Stoneward Herald.
Like, Dalinar called it out. He was like, oh yeah, those 2 over there. Like,
yeah. But, and I don't remember if we talked about it before, Ash, or Shalash, is the patron herald of the Lightweavers, which doesn't fit because Shallan is already a Lightweaver. So, at this point, when the book came out and the significance of this was discovered, people theorized that maybe as that character develops, despite her being the patron of Lightweavers, she will become a Dustbringer. Like, maybe she's gotten to a point where her attitudes are so different that she would fit into this other order. So that was the theory, just so that you could make it fit nicely, the 10 people and the 10 orders in this scene.
But I mean, okay, because it raises the possibility, can you change orders? And I guess there's nothing to say you can't, but to do that, you would have to abandon the Spren that you bonded for the first order to go take up the second. So you'd have to kill one Spren to become you have to kill a Spren to become a different member of the orders. Yeah,
that's true.
And to follow from that, one of the few things we know about Taravangian's Dustbringer is she's pissed at humanity for betraying the Spren. So, like, of all the orders to go into after betraying a Spren, Dustbringer doesn't seem the most likely.
That's true. I don't know. I guess we don't know. Nail says he thinks he's the only one of the heralds to eventually join his own order. So we don't know if being like the herald of that order means you actually have a Spren or not.
That's a good point.
Because they get the powers of that order from their honor blades. So, yeah, we really don't know enough to be sure how that would go. But that when we read these books for the first time, that was a popular theory going around. And it's funny. It's funny to me how far that goes to just be like, well, I want this scene to encompass all of the orders, and this is the only way that I can think to get there. So,
yeah, it's like I need to make this perfect little package, and Brandon's like, fuck your package.
Entirely possible that Brandon is exactly. Although that sounds kind of dirty now that I think about it. Yeah, okay.
Well, I hadn't thought about that till you said it, so.
Sure.
Oh, legitimately, I hadn't.
Okay, let's do like one more email and then we'll wrap. This one is from Kendall. Hey, Sanderlanche crew, I'm finally caught up. Apologies in advance if this email is long. I have a tendency to ramble. I emailed a few months ago that I'd finished Elantris episodes, and now I finally caught up. I love getting to experience your guys' journey through the Cosmere and feel like I learned so many new tidbits or am reminded of things I kind of brushed over while reading. Like while listening to a more recent episode, I realized that I never wondered what type of Spren Oathbringer was, so I looked it up. Actually, that's an interesting question. We know that all the Spren are all the shard blades that they use are dead Spren. We don't know what kind of Spren the shard blade Oathbringer is. Yeah. Also, this podcast is giving me a new appreciation for Era 2. I enjoyed the books, but was reading in publication order, so I was interspersing them with Stormlight books, and Era 2 got a bit overshadowed for me. While listening to your read-through, I was like, yeah, wow, there are some really cool moments in these, and I will definitely pay attention more on reread. Also, I love the Steris appreciation. In a more recent episode, I think it was Data who mentioned that it's either people know how to pronounce things from the audio or how to spell them from physical reading, and I realized I'm in a somewhat less common boat of knowing both since I listened to the audio while following along in a personal copy. It took a sec to get used to, but I highly recommend it if you want to feel totally immersed in the world. I wanted to bring it up because Data mentioned a few times that he'd be interested in hearing how certain scenes or characters sound but can't do audio. It might not work for you like it does for me, but I thought I'd recommend it. That's an interesting thought. I'd never considered just trying to read along with the audio. I mean, you'd have to buy the book twice to do that, but I might try that on maybe not like a Stormlight-sized book, but maybe a Dresden Files one. I actually have some of those audiobooks. I just never listened to much of them because I can't do a whole audiobook, but that could be fun. They continue. Okay, and one more thing I wanted to say is that after listening to an episode where Jamie said Apollo 13 is her favorite movie, I decided to watch it because I'd never seen it, but fell asleep with about 30 minutes left. I went on to finish it 2 days later, and it had been taken off of Netflix within that time.
Oh, no.
That sucks. It's also not available to stream anywhere else, and I didn't want to rent it just for 30 minutes, especially since I know how it ends. But it got me thinking that a really annoying Night Watcher curse for me would be never being able to finish the last bit of a book or movie and living in a perpetual cliffhanger. I'm not sure what boon would go with that, but I was wondering what a seemingly mundane but frustrating Night Watcher curse would be for you.
I feel like the boon to go with that was I want to have the time to read any book I want. And it's like, done, but you'll never actually finish them.
Oh, yeah, that's what it would be. Like all the free time in the world, but you never get... It's like the guy in the Twilight Zone episode who breaks his glasses and, yeah.
Yeah.
This is another one that I'm like, I would have to think on that. What is a mundane but frustrating Night Watcher curse for me? There's probably a lot. It doesn't take much to be slightly annoying and frustrating. I don't want to curse. I wouldn't go to the Night Watcher.
Think about it. I'm sure something.
It wouldn't be worth it for me. Is there some boon that you guys would want badly enough to be like, I'm going to go to the Night Watcher and risk whatever happens?
Nah, probably not.
Not that I can think of.
I mean, she's over here like, I can give you whatever. Do you want riches or fame or a sword that bleeds black smoke and can't be defeated? And I'm like, no, not bad enough for whatever is going to come with it. I mean, honestly, getting Nightblood is almost its own boon and curse.
Your boon is you want the magic black smoke sword, and your curse is you get the magic black smoke sword. Wait, what?
Did I mention that he doesn't shut up and will drain you to death if you draw him? Good luck with that.
Yep.
Well, that was good. That let us catch up on our emails a bit. We still got several, but we're getting more caught up. If anybody out there wants to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanch@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, where I'm still posting my reactions to Isles of the Emberdark as I read through it for the first time. So if you're interested in that, check that out. Like I said, we do have a couple new patrons. We did get emails with some reviews, but we're going to wait for Joe to come back to handle those. So if you send us an email like that, if you backed on Patreon, be patient. Remember, we're doing 7 more chapters for next time. So if you're following along, that's chapters 23 through 29 of Tress of the Emerald Sea. That is what we're reading. So you should read at least that much if you want to follow along. Don't read less than that. I don't want to spoil you. That'd be mean. But I want to say thank you to all of our patrons. You guys are awesome. Thank you to all of the people on the Discord chatting out there. Thank you to everybody who just shows up every week and listens to us go through this. We appreciate you. 7 chapters for next time. Music by Miracle of Sound. And Wuzzing to the Time of Next. Colo, P.S. Fasher. Haha, I'm still.